Da, 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 da. Just a little bit of fun before talking, before the darkness comes, and I will screw up everything by talking about the big problems the program has. Actually, not. Today, the name of this channel is Studio One, Bugs, Butterfly, and more. And today we are talking about more. And as you might have understood by the intro, we're talking about this device, the Faderport. But of course, this is not going to be a description of the functionality, which other people do very well, always magnifying everything. But this time, I really love this thing. I really love it, guys. I want to tell you first a story. Maybe I never said that. Why I called it? What is a butterfly? Uh, when I had this when I was in 3.5 when I left. Oh, sorry about that. I left Cubase when 4 was released because I saw the. I was making a parallel with Logic. I used to use Logic, and when 10 went out, I hated it. All these function, the drummer, I don't need this thing. I make music. I make music myself. I didn't like the direction. I think a DAW needs to do a DAW, and I use professional plugins. I almost never use the plugins from stock plugins. Some of them are good, but I prefer stay away because as I change many times, though, I want to keep my tool in every one I go. And I spent the last 5 years in the island of Cubase, as an island, eastern island on the Pacific Ocean, and it's beautiful. I have to say, I really got nothing to say against. I mean, I got something to say, and actually, I will be doing a series where I compare Studio One with Cubase, giving a final verdict on certain functions, certain in favor of Cubase and some others in Studio One. Anyway, you know how life works. Think you have loved your love always at a certain point can tend to come back, and so I had a small problem on this island, and I said, "Oh, let's go to see the Studio One island, what they implemented it," and I was just astonished how good 6.2 is, and I really felt in love. Really, and I'm not being sarcastic. I really like it. I just need to make one full session, make it full of my stuff, make it very busy and see whether the program, the DAW respond correctly, if not CPU intensive as much as they say in other blogs, and then it'll be done. But as I'm a passionate guy, I couldn't wait, and so I went just to buy this thing here, the Faderport 2018. And I was like, should I really buy it? I mean, it's redundant in my setup, right? Because I have a console one with 10 faders, and I have my keyboards. I use a lot of key commands and a lot of macros, and so of course here cannot do anything more that can be done here uh, in terms of functionality. But what about in terms of workflow? Well, that's where this really shines, because you got this. First thing is the tactile sensation, or tactile, I'm not sure the pronunciation, sensation it gives, this rubber, which is really really cool to me. And then the sensation to have lots of commands in the palm on one hand, and it's very cool, so I always navigate here, and if I want to scroll over the program, I go here. I mean, I really love it. Play, start. I mean, also here, but this is very anonymous. This working here is very anonymous, and in a sort of way, it breaks. There is a solo. I cannot say breaks if you press solo, because S, everybody knows where S and M is for mute. But in a way, in more advanced, a little slightly more advanced feature, you have to. It's not as intuitive, and it kind of breaks the flow of what you're about to do, which is a thing that happens with the age. For 20 year old people, they'll be laughing at me and say, what did this guy's talking about? Yeah, well, you're right. If I mean, but with aging, thing gets a little bit less fluent. So I really love this one. So what am I talking about? Am I doing like anybody else, talking only good about the product, how good it is, guys go to get it right away? No. There is one thing I would really like to be implemented, is a very very easy stuff. Through my experience with Studio One, I know that even very very easy. I remember in 3.5 there was actually um, um, how to say, I don't remember, not bottom, call it bottom, but it's not, of course. One of those, right? It was not working. I mean, that's ridiculous on a software, here something might not work, but here, I mean, that you have it was a linking between this and this, and they made it stop working, and I got really mad because I used it all the time. But anyway, it was a bit sloppy at that time, and now it's so much better. So I don't know what did I say that actually, but let's go back to our issue. My issue here is with the fader. What? I mean, I'm talking so good about this guy's crazy. I mean, you must be thinking I'm totally crazy. I mean, fader port without fader, so port. No, actually, I love this fader. It is one of the reasons I bought it, because console one doesn't have a LED, which is a great missing of this console. Is the weakest point of it, and so you have to look for this lit channel where that match the selected one in Studio One. But here, when you select a channel, you instantly know that this is it, and you don't bother here. You use this for different purpose when you really want to create and change balance to things in a more depth way. Then one father, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it at all. So here it's very comfortable if you say, okay, I want to have the bass a bit louder, and you just go here. You know right away that this is the bass. You don't have to look here. Sometimes, you got, now it's a very small session. Sometimes you have 3 banks of 10, 30 track, 40 tracks. It's not so intuitive, although it goes there. But we don't need to talk about console one. I want to talk about here. This is, in a palm of an hand. You got it all, and you got the fader, and you can go and move the volume, and then do other stuff here. It's so cool. I love it. But so, what's about the fader? Well, um, I would like to have the chance to have it enabled and disabled. And why you want to have so? There are a couple of reasons. Two reasons, actually. Two reasons. The most important is probably that you. This is very, as I said, is one palm, and that's the beauty of it. But that also makes you involuntary touch this one. Maybe you want to go to the pen, and you just he's here. Just, oh, let me change the pen. Oh my God, I changed the volume. You know. So by being, I don't know, with shift or pressing two keys, I don't know technically the way it can be done, but I think it is very very easy to implement this function, and doesn't take, it doesn't take anything. If you don't want to use it, you just don't use it. And I don't think it takes away time from other development because it must be very easy. So by pressing, I don't know, solo and mute, I don't know if technically possible, but this would go just down here, but this will stay up here. So this stays this way. And no matter what, if you're touching here, because it becomes really influent. If I do the same thing, go to the pen and do this, nothing has happened. There is another issue actually. When we go by channel, I'll go with the left hand so you can see the fader. I mean, every single track is gonna make a move, and you hear the noise now. It's coming also from console, but now it's not. Now yes, it's pretty bothering, and when it moves a little bit, you keep hearing when it's motorized, and it's fading or whatever. So, in fact, sometimes I just detach the USB cable of the console one fader because I don't, why I have to hear this noise? I'm concentrated on other stuff. So also here I suggest console one to enable one of those key that freeze completely instead of getting rid of the cable. I don't know. I think it's way more comfortable. But the concept is the same. The noise is very bothering, and yet this is far. I can to go here I can bounce, and to go here I can touch here. You see easily. It's already happened many times in 1 week. I have it. So it might seem to be pretty useless stuff. I don't think it is at all. And then there is also one more consideration to be made. That Guys, do you realize how much you use really fader in a production over a production? Do you think does it reach 5% of time? I would say way less. I think we move faders 2%, 1% of the time a production goes. So, well, yeah. Sorry about that. I missed the second point. So here, whenever you move it, this is making 5 centimeters movement every single time you select a channel or you go through this one, which is so much more comfortable than the mouse. And this is gonna move all the time, and there is a simple law that we really cannot change. The more you use one thing, the more it deteriorates. Now I don't know. I'm not technical to say how much is the lifespan of a motorized fader, but surely this continuous movement it decreases its life. So, coming back to what I was saying before, we don't really use much faders. And so, why you want these to move all the time, giving the faders move all the time, giving you noise and deteriorate, and with the danger that is gonna happen for sure that you eventually mistakenly are going to move it, and sorry about that, and you have to resettle the volume. Or sometimes you might not realize it indeed, and then when you move something and say, "Oh, there is something sounding differently," and it's just that maybe raise the guitar, which is together with keyboards, and all the balance gets skewed, and you don't feel anymore the same. But you understand the issues. So I think having to button here a shift, or I don't know if the shift can work, for instance, with the loop, or solo or two this one can be used I don't think this can be done. For instance, this one, it can be used with shift and disable this one. This goes down, this will stay up. Wherever you move it, it doesn't do anything until you do again shift loop and re-enable the fader. So that was okay. The one last thing I need to say is that there I went to the feature request page of Presonus to search. I wanted to make a post, a feature request, but first, of course, it's a good practice to see whether somebody else already requested it. And actually, there was a guy requesting it. But look at my hand. He had zero like. But now he's got one, mine. So you might say, but why you are doing a video about something that nobody cares? I don't know if nobody cares. Feature request page is kind of might be tricky because if many people at the same time make feature request, the feature request is gonna go down very soon, and nobody can really read it, see it, or maybe um, by me showing the purpose and the problems you can run into it, you might understand and appreciate better this feature request. So link the link in the comments. There will be the link to this feature request, and I invite you for whoever is interested in this feature to go to give it a vote. I think it will enhance a lot the functionality, not the functionality, but the workflow. It improves the workflow by not think, but not needed, not but not needing to be careful about this fader anymore when you disable it, of course, because the fader, I love it. As I said, I go on a channel, I know this is it. I move it. But then, if that's the only thing I wanted to do, and then I'm going back to my editing, I just disable it, boom, and I'm quiet here. I don't need to get worried about this all the time. So that's all for this time. I hope I didn't have you waste time by say something that nobody cares, which is probably the case when we're talking about DAO. Everybody disagree about feature that should be implemented. But that was my idea. And down below there is the button where you can subscribe, and that would be making me very happy. But no, for the channel, I'm not in it for the channel. I hope not to do many more videos about bugs. No, I don't want to do any more bugs video, because I don't want to have bugs, because I'm a user. I'm not a YouTuber, not at all. I work with music, and I want I'm doing this because I just want the program to be better. And so please subscribe, and maybe sometimes you may have an idea. You can send me videos, I can publish them, and we have discussion. I also made a Facebook group which has got the same name, Studio One, Butterfly, Bugs, and more. So I'll see you for the next video. Thank you for your patience, and have a great day. Bye.